recording this Sunday, and we just got to start with the biggest story of the day.
Yeah,
which
jump into
happened
it.
yesterday. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I have always known that Iran was sponsored and funded by the deep state, the globalist deep state, by the CIA. The leader of Iran right now is like Al Qaeda, but they say, oh, it's a good Al Qaeda. It's like, the Ayatollah, all that stuff. I don't agree with going to war at all, but at the same time, it's like you got to nip it in the butt, And I just at this point, I trust President Trump. If he's, it's kind of beyond me. I have some commentary on it, which I'll get to. But what do you think, Alice?
Well, you know, he had us all for the last few days, and he was saying, oh, by the way, I thought this was very appropriate to wear my shirt today. So that's
Look
why I'm
at you
wearing
promoting
this.
war and violence, you warmonger, you.
But how brilliant. Okay, we're going to decide what to do in a couple of weeks. Then, boom, out of nowhere. I mean, it's incredible. I was trying to listen to a few of the morning shows, and there's just one guy, and I should have written down his name. He's like a pass. I'm not even
On
trying.
Fox?
Yeah, I'm not going to even try to come up with his title. That's what I'm going to criticize Newsmax because they'll have a person on, and they need to put the title underneath so you can remember who it is. But he was saying it was a brilliant move. What I like about it, Chuck Norris and those guys, and your Air Force too, and the Air Force did this.
Air Force.
It's like when you have someone is going to be your opponent, you don't wait to defend yourself. You attack first, so you can have the first move. And he got what it was three. I think he got three facilities that he did. And so now, of course, the big thing is AOC right away. Well, this is unconstitutional. He shouldn't do that. We're going to have to impeach him. Blah 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 blah. But quickly, a lot of those guys on TV already are saying, "Hey, you know what? Obama," and I wrote this down. Obama, 2011 Libya, and then 2014 Syria, and Hillary was right there. Said, "Oh no, this is perfectly fine and stuff." So I have actually texted a brilliant guy who does. He's a constitutional expert. So I'm kind of waiting to see what he'll give me as far as that answer. But I'm like you. I trust President Trump. He's always good with his surprises. He's getting a lot of good feedback. Even Mike Pence is saying this was a good idea.
That's what worries me.
That's you know what?
That's
was
what I
just
don't
gonna
like.
Say,
That's what I don't
was
like.
Say a little uncomfortable with that, but you know what? I think we have to go with this. It's done now. Forward. They know we are a force to be reckoned with, and that's what's really important. Now you're the military guy. Air Force did this, and it looks like they did a really good job. So I'm really interested to hear what you have to say about it.
Yeah, I was in boot camp. I was the 377th Strike First, Strike Fast, Strike Hard Squadron. We were the Cobra Squadron. So like that was our mantra: was Strike First, Strike Fast, Strike Hard.
So what does that mean for us non-military people?
So just basically, yeah. I mean, that's if you're gonna go, go first. Go, and that was just the mentality that we were. Every single day that was our mantra: strike
had to
first.
be ready.
Yeah, strike first, strike fast, strike hard, and that's just kind of like. But for me, strategically, obviously we have the weaponry to take out whatever we need to take out, and we have the intelligence to know where they are. Because apparently they had these 300-foot underground bunkers, probably more, that they thought for sure that we couldn't penetrate. For sure, we have the weaponry to penetrate that. I'm more worried about the blowback, the counter move on Iran's side, because they have China on their side now. They have all the other Middle East on their side. If President Trump was going to do this, I would hope that he did it in a way that would either fend off a counterattack, scare them like a deterrent, or he has a plan to deal with that counterattack, because there will be a counterattack. So he must have a plan on nullifying that next move that they're going to do. I'm sure that's what's really going on here.
We do. We have to worry about that. And then you think about all the illegal alien population that has been able to get into our country.
No.
You know that there's cells, there's other things. There is so much to have to think about and strategize about.
Yeah. I mean, Iran, there's a lot of conspiracy theories. I heard about it when the Las Vegas shooting, when it first came out, that it had a lot to do with Iran and some bad deals that happened with them. And I know former President Obama had done a lot of, rough deals with Iran as well, with money and stuff and gold. And There's a lot of things that Trump fell into, and Trump is a wartime president. That's the one thing I like about Nino Rodriguez. You know, we always talk about him, but he's just right though. He was selected by the White Hats, by pro-America generals to run for president as a wartime president because we are under attack. We have been under invasion. We have been infiltrated, and we either got President Trump in there to deal with these wartime scenarios, or we were going to lose everything.
Z, can you imagine if President Trump weren't there and we had Kamala, your girlfriend?
Open
Wow.
border Kamala Harris. I mean, we'd all probably be dead by now, or at least sustaining severe damage. I mean, they'd be arresting. Because here's the thing: is when the commies get in power, the Marxists get in power. The first thing they do is they start debating. And we talked about this before. The first thing they start debating is who are we going to keep alive, who deserves to stay alive, and who deserves to die. And 9 times out of 10, if not 10 times out of 10, their political oppositions are the first ones to start dying.
Wow. And then, so you're talking about Marxists. I just heard, and shout out to Brad Zinn, my friend, he's about my age and he studied Marxism a lot of it.
Good.
And they talk about, okay, even if you are a Marxist, if you are of no benefit to that party anymore, bye-bye.
Oh yeah, that's what they do. They use somebody, they exploit somebody to get some kind of power leverage, and as soon as they get into that power, boom, they're out of there. The next guy's in place. We all know what this. And the thing is the people at the top pulling the strings aren't really Marxists. They use that philosophy, that ideology, to manipulate people and create these problem solution type scenarios. But at the top of that is really a spiritual philosophical belief system. And that's where we get into Luciferianism, Satanism versus Jesus Christ and God. And that's just been a lifelong battle, since the Babylonian days, really.
Right, because he also said their big thing is you have to be an atheist. You have to be an atheist to make that work for you.
You got to be an atheist, which is great because it's like when I was watching a podcast over the weekend too, they're talking about the Freemasons. And the Freemasons have been infiltrated since the Age of Enlightenment. George Washington wrote famously about how they've been infiltrated by the Luciferians, but their main thing is that you have to believe in a God. That's the main qualifier. You have to be invited in, and I've been invited in the Freemasons a few times. I've been invited in the Illuminati a few times, straight up. But the main thing is you have to believe in God. And then from there, they kind of lead you into the ultimate God, their God, which is not Jesus Christ or not the Bible, but you can't be an atheist and become a Freemason. So they get you in different ways. If they don't get you with the Marxist ideology and atheism and then guide you to Satanism that way, because Marx was a devout Satanist. He wrote quite eloquent poetry of Satan. You can find it in the records. They'll get you that way, or they'll get you to the Freemasons. Either way, they control a ton of our society. And at the end of this day, that's why I was talking about the spiritual warfare. It's all spiritual. Behind all this stuff, red versus blue and independent and all that, and Freemasons and whatever, and Marxists, it's a spiritual battle. Sooner we all realize that, and the sooner we start engaging with it, and what I mean by that is praying, getting close to God, and realizing what the opposition is, the better off that we're going to be as a species.
It is a fight for the soul, not only your political soul, just everything. They want to take you over, and they want control.
That's right.
So what do you think? Here's what's cool, too. So Trump gets on the podium, and he doesn't stay there for 2 hours explaining what he did, just bap. And somebody said that was probably his best political speech, because he just gets up there and said what he had to say and got off the podium.
And I didn't see any of that. I was pretty tied up yesterday, so I don't know what Trump said or anything like that. I just know that we struck Iran. We hit them with some gnarly bunker busters. There was I saw an article that there was like potentially an earthquake in Iran, but they're like, no, that was actually a bunker buster. So I'm trusting President Trump at this time. I know Iran's a really bad country, but I am, of course, worried about the blowback. We full-on war with China, full-on war with other Middle Eastern countries. I don't want that. And I don't like Israel that much either.
Which we still have to worry about it no matter what happens.
True. And we might as well be dealing with it, nullifying it now, right? So that's, again, what I said before. It's like we got to nip it in the butt. I just don't trust Israel, guys. And I know that's a big deal for me to say as a Republican, but I'm an American first. And as an American, someone that has reason, October 7th was that was a stand down, and I know Israel's just always been on a tirade, just picking fights with everybody. They're always expecting us to back them up. We give them a ton of money, and I don't agree with these proxy wars, and I don't agree with the stand down in Israel. So I don't trust that whole area. And the real reason why is because the American government, the CIA, and all, they have been doing all this insider stuff, these proxy wars as well. You know, they've been wanting to take over the Middle East. And I feel like this is another way for them to do it. This is why I don't fully agree with President Trump making this move. Like, they want war. Look at Pence. Pence was happy that President Trump had did this. And if Pence is happy about anything, I'm worried.
It's suspect.
I don't
It is.
trust that guy whatsoever. That's one of the biggest backstabbers. That is the number one backstabber in American history. I mean, that guy, he had a chance to save us from that stolen election in 2020. It was all on him. And that's all coming out now, too. We can get into that next. But that guy, oh, man, the freaking shame that guy has is he has zero shame.
And
He
of
has zero
course,
shame.
the news is blabbing that all over the place. And it is significant. It is significant that he says that. So what do you think?
Yeah, it's not good.
And then I always think about, too, okay, we know about those 3 big hits. There's probably other stuff that has gone on before and is still going on. We don't get to know about. We won't find out about until later. What do you think is the next move, Mr. Strategy Military Boy?
Well, geopolitically, what it seems like President Trump's trying to do is just, deterrent the Middle East. Like, look, if you mess with us, you're going to get bombed to hell. And peace through strength. I'm hoping that we're back to the negotiation table with Iran, and we can foster some type of a regime change out there. But you see, the regime change isn't good either, because that's going to
Who's
ship.
the next guy, right?
Yeah, it's who's the next guy. It's always the worst person, and they're going to ship off a bunch of more illegals to Europe, and they're already having a huge, way worse of a problem than we're having. So it's they're replacing their population with these new immigrants. That's what's going on. It's happening in England. It's happening in Italy. It's already happened in France at a high level. We should be worried, but at least we're starting to get them out of here, and that's why President Trump is getting them out of here as fast as he can. Because just look at Europe. Look at the dire straits that those countries are in. And so regime change is going to make that worse, and they're probably going to try and ship them here, just like it happened in Palestine. They're like, oh, well, let's send them all to America. It's like, I'm imagining that this is going to be a chance for us to leverage our strength. We're going to get some peace through strength out of this, and it could help bring us together, because we just couldn't let these guys run amok anymore. But at the same time, we still got to deal with Netanyahu with all his crazy warmongering stuff.
Boy, is he happy.
Yeah, these guys that I don't like, they're happy. That makes me very worried, But at the same time, you talk about the strategies of war. It's like, well, just keep your enemies close. So this is another way of Trump keeping or keep your enemies close, and keep it yeah.
Your friends closer, your enemies closer.
Yeah, and I don't
know what you're trying to say.
Yeah, you know what I'm trying to say. I don't see Israel as an ally at this point. I really don't. I feel like they're trying to goad us into a war, and it's to distract everybody from what's really going on. I mean, they're replacing the citizens of these countries with these illegal immigrants. We've caught China directly interfering with our elections. That came out. That was
Yeah,
FBI
huge.
released. Yeah, let's get into that. What do you think about that?
That's huge. And just before we leave this topic,
Okay, let's stay there then.
no, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to switch. I am. But I just think it's no matter what it is, the element of surprise to me is the brilliant move. Because he could have just waited, like said, well, we're going to wait 2 weeks. But that's Trump. He's always strategizing, and I have a lot of confidence. But we pray, like you say, we still got to pray that it goes well, because we don't want to be in a war. We really don't. We don't want to start World War III. But at the same time, we are a force to be reckoned with. So let's just keep praying and hope for the best, and stay tuned.
Yeah, he did a good job acting weak. President Trump had been looking pretty weak to me over the past few weeks, because they kind of
I did it on purpose.
the news portrayed him as being indecisive. They were projecting infighting with him and Tucker Carlson. He even said, "Oh, Tucker Carlson needs to get his own TV show if he wants to say anything." And it's like, bro, Tucker Carlson's show has 10 times the viewers than Fox does. It's like, so
Yeah,
why
that's
even
podcast.
say that? And he knows that. He has to know that. So I think they were portraying weakness when he's actually strong. And he did say, "Look, the first time I was in office, I was the hunted, and now I'm the hunter." He
Powerful.
did say that, and he does have a lot more leverage, a lot more power. He's got Tulsi Gabbard there, he's got Pete Hegseth over there now, and I don't see us coming out on this on the wrong side of things, because we've already got the whole world investing trillions in America right now.
Yeah.
There's just a very small handful of people, which is the globalists, that are against what we're trying to do overall. everybody has an incentive to make sure America is successful because
Thank you.
the whole world wins.
I'm just going to go with that thought.
Economically, the whole world
It
wins.
doesn't, if they blow us up and we are obliterated, it doesn't help anybody. It doesn't help the
Wow.
world. They've got to keep us somewhat alive. So it's,
Well, it
at
helps
the
the
same time, they'll come screw with us too. I'm not saying they won't.
it helps the depopulace, and we can get into that real quick too. I mean, they want the war because they truly feel on a spiritual level, on a philosophical level, that we are overpopulated and that we should kill 90% of the people on this planet. That's on record. That's Bill Gates' crew and all them, and so they want war. They're reckless. They're nihilist. You know, they're losing the overall battle against the nationalists. You know, worldwide. So for them, this is their way of flipping the chessboard over, in my opinion, which is what worries me about President Trump doing this. It's like you're kind of giving them what they want, but I'm not the president, and I don't have all the intel that he has and all the power and resources that he has.
Exactly.
And he's been studying this for for decades. So this is a very calculated move on President Trump's behalf. You end up just got to be trusting him. What do I know? I just know I listen to credible news sources, and you know I have friends that are, you know, pretty in tune. So this is my take on it, but I feel like President Trump was portraying weakness on purpose, and I think that he's actually really strong at this point.
And you said a very important thing that a lot of people forget because, like you say, we watch all the news and we have different sources and things like that. But in the end, the president has access to information that we don't.
Yeah.
He's got everything right there. So, all right. So that's huge. That's big.
And they know a ton.
And before we move on to the topic, I just want to thank everybody, you chipsters out there, for keeping us going, sharing our podcasts. And I hope everyone had a wonderful Father's Day, and you as well. And we're just so happy. Please go to our Facebook page, Chips and Salsa Show New Mexico. Follow it, like it, whatever you can do, because it's growing, and we're really posting a lot of good stuff on there. Zeke is just doing reels, like he's awesome at it.
Yeah.
And any suggestions, ideas, we welcome them, and apologize if I don't get back to you right away. But even if I don't, I do see them eventually. I do, or you do too as well. Okay, buddy. Time to change topics. Where would you like to go next? You wanted to go elections.
I want to
didn't
go
you?
election stuff. I've always been, I'm big on elections, guys, and I think the main thing I want to talk about, because I was talking to some fellow Republicans. Well, one was an independent, the other Republican. So that's kind of the whole dichotomy now. You know, that's kind of that's a good
The
segue.
independent you were talking to, was he leaning right?
Heavy right,
Okay.
but he just doesn't trust either party. He feels betrayed by the Republican Party here in New Mexico, and I understand. Let's get into this. So he was basically saying the Republicans won't vote for Hispanic in a Doñana County election.
The Republicans will not vote for a Hispanic?
Yeah, for whatever reason, that's his theory.
Did he know? Did he give you a reason why he
Well,
thought
I mean, I
'Cause
guess
we're
there's
pretty
been
much Hispanic down
there's
here.
been instances where we've had Hispanic Republican candidates and they didn't get the kind of support that we wanted them to have as a grassroots party member of the Republican Party. And I've seen the Republican Party in Doñana go toe to toe with conservative Republican organizations. And that's just the truth. So for whatever, we can get into that debate, whatever, that's just the truth. You can talk to any Doñana County member. You guys know what I'm talking about. If you're listening to this show and you're from Doñana County and you've been involved with the party for the past 7 years, 8 years, you know exactly what I'm talking about. There's been some candidates and some Hispanic movement down here that has been stifled by the Republican Party. And I personally have dealt with it as well, too, recently.
Wow.
And so,
See, and I'm still learning this stuff. I've only been back 3 years, but you know all the history.
well, it just goes back to the idea that this is the worst state in the country. Why wouldn't we have the worst Republican Party in the country? I mean, this is logic, you know what I mean? But I love Amy Barela, Chairwoman Amy Barela. She just got in there, so I'm not putting this on her whatsoever. She's made more moves in the past 6, 7 months she's been in there than I've ever seen.
And I just want to interject that she, you know, we get
She's
messages.
Hispanic.
She's Hispanic.
Yeah.
She's a sharp lady, and we actually get messages like every, you know, maybe not every day, and you don't have to do it every day, but I really think she's working it. In fact, I'm glad you mentioned her because this Friday at the DACFRW, Doñana County Federated Republican Women, my Republican Women's Club, she will be speaking.
Good.
So if you need to find out
Check
about
her
that,
out.
check her out.
Yeah, if you guys haven't seen Chairwoman Amy Barela speak yet, you guys got. And she's of Hispanic affiliation. Her husband's Hispanic, so, and her kids are Hispanic, you know, but she's not necessarily Hispanic herself.
Oh, she isn't? I thought she was.
No, it's her husband's last name. To my
Oh, really?
understanding, yeah, you know, I don't want
She looks Latina.
to. Her last name is Barela.
All right, I'm going to find out about that.
Let's give her
All
credit
right,
for,
all
for
right.
that
Anyway,
at least.
I kind of made you deviate.
No, no, it's
but
okay.
Good job, Amy. Good job.
Yeah, I'm not putting this on Chairwoman Barela. I'm not at all. There's always little factions. And she'll admit this too. There's little factions within the Republican Party, and New Mexico, like I said, has just had a lot of issues. So with that in consideration, I can see why this gentleman would say that for whatever reason Republicans won't vote for Hispanic candidates. But I disagree. I think Republicans will vote for Hispanic candidates. I think what we're dealing with, because there's a lot of people that do a lot of mental judo to explain, like, well, to deal with the elections, like, well, if we all just move to Democrat and we get a Republican Democrat in there or a conservative
Get a
Democrat.
conservative Democrat, yeah.
They
Yeah,
try to
it's
make,
worked.
but the reality is, guys, is we haven't had fair elections since Obama got in office. Since Obama got in office, that's when Obama really came about, from Venezuela. We bought the software and technology from Venezuela when Obama first got in office. So theoretically, we haven't had any fair elections since then. If we would have fair elections, we would have had elected Republican city congressmen too, but city council members, Republican county commissioners. When was the last time we had a Republican city council member here in Las Cruces? It's been over a decade, well over a decade. So when we are, as a party here in Doña Ana, and I'm trying to speak to the whole country, really. This is a microcosm of what's going on nationwide, because they've all been stolen to a certain degree, the elections. Fair elections would have gotten one, say, Republican city council in, say, 8 years ago. The momentum that we get from one candidate and the energy that they spread would have given us more confidence, would have galvanized us more. But we haven't had that. We just keep getting them stolen. We lose more faith, more confidence, more disparity. And it's not this judo stuff, I think, that people are talking about. It's like Republicans are kind of racist. I don't think the average Republican is like that. I think maybe people at the top of the Republican Party who was in charge of things before, whoever that was, had other interests involved. Because if you think about it, the instant you got momentum with Hispanic conservatives, Hispanic Republicans in New Mexico, that's the instant New Mexico changes, because we're majority Hispanic here. So in terms of the uniparty, if we've got some rhino Republicans in New Mexico, which makes sense that we would, of all states in the country to have rhinos, why wouldn't the worst state in the country have them? So the uniparty would for sure not want Hispanics to take control of the Republican Party, because that spells the end of their whole. The rhinos have their own agenda. They don't care. We've been getting sold out as a state for a very long time here. We have all the resources that we have. We have amazing people here, but we don't even have an educated workforce to bring on new jobs at this point, because we've been shattered as a people, our whole infrastructure. And I blame a lot of that on the rhino Republicans that have been in charge of this party for a lot longer than I've been around.
It just seems like sometimes when we have to fight our own Republicans
Yeah.
instead of the actual enemy, the left. It's an unnecessary burden. It shouldn't be that way. But unfortunately, it is, like you say, it's not only us. It's not only in New Mexico. There's
No.
other areas of the country. I mean, even on a national basis, look what happened in the election with, Cheney and even Mike Pence. These guys were going against Trump.
That's right.
So I hear you. However, I am always hopeful that I think this is the time. We've got the momentum. I believe that a lot of Latinos here, Hispanics, we're going to call, in New Mexico especially, they're not woke. They're becoming awakened. And this is part of our program. This is why we do the program, because we want them to get information that they don't necessarily get. We just don't have the media that a big giant city would.
Yeah, that's why it's important for you guys to like these YouTube pages, subscribe to our YouTube page, share them, because getting the news out there is a big deal for New Mexico, especially because we have such a small population. A little bit of movement goes a long way here.
That's right.
And what really, and I'll end on this note in terms of, this mental judo that people do, the disparity that we have, the apathy, is that as a I'm an American first. I will say that I'm a U.S. American first. I'm an Air Force veteran. I love this country. I'm a Republican second. But because Trump had to deal with the rhinos head on, we need to be doing the same thing, exposing their behavior, calling them out when we see them, when they're doing horrible things against our own party, against our own people. We need to call them out. If you guys remember distinctly, when Trump was first running back in 2015, he was in front of the RNC and he told them, I don't need your money. I don't want your money. Because he's going to do what's right for the American people, not what's right for this, at that time, a compromised RNC. So that's what gives me the confidence to just keep standing for the people, for America First policies, for family values, in face of the rhino Republicans trying to stifle whatever the positivity and love that we are trying to do, the peaceful things that we're trying to do. And yeah, I've dealt with it, but it's not that bad, and we can get through because there's way more of us than them. Like I said, we just got to expose it and follow Trump's suit.
And there's two things I want to mention because I don't want to forget, and then I want to talk about Duke Rodriguez, his article. But this week also, you saw those two beautiful flags that Trump paid for and he put up in the White House on. They are awesome, and I think very symbolic. And I think maybe that was kind of a deal saying, look, this is the United States of America.
Yeah.
And here's our big flag. I want the world to see it. I want, don't
Isn't it
ignore us.
incredible that we didn't have it?
That is, yeah, I figured there was, right? I always thought there wasn't. And I've been there. I haven't been inside the White House, but I was trying to think, I have to go back and look at my pictures. They're beautiful, fantastic. He paid for it, and it was also a reminder to me that he doesn't take a salary. He, again, did not take a salary this term. And I don't know anybody else that has ever done that before. But the other thing I wanted to mention as well, our RNC has good leadership. I think at the top, they have pretty good leadership. So there is hope. You're absolutely right. There
Yeah, the
is
new
hope.
RNC is badass. They're the ones spearheading this election integrity stuff. So that's what it is, guys. And, I'm going to kind of, so I think it's funny that, real quick, I'll comment on what you said about President Trump and the flag. They had the video of President Trump saying, well, where's the flag? There should be a flagpole. I mean, it's so commonsensical. Why wouldn't, that's a big conspiracy theory for me. Why hasn't there been an American flag in the front of the White House for two and a half centuries? That's a wild thing. But as far as the elections are concerned, guys, they did find, the FBI declassified the knowledge that they had. They had Chinese private planes flying in ballots, unfolded or nothing. And they've got them on video, Chinese people in rented vehicles from out of state bringing ballots in the middle of the night. And they have, so a lot of these guys, FedEx workers, post office workers, and some of these Chinese workers too, were whistleblowers.
I was going to say,
They got them on record and on film too and say, hey, we're cheating these elections and we can't say no, we can't do anything, but we don't want to really be a part of it, so we're calling it out. So China is still in heavy control of the Democrat Party. So if you're a Democrat and you don't acknowledge the fact that these elections have been stolen and tweaked and that you've been working in tandem with the Chinese government, man, you're just not doing your party a service, because you should be out there rebuking all that. We want nothing to do with China. We want nothing to do with any of that. But do you hear a peep about that at all? No, you don't.
do your research. And on that same line, what happened this week too, the headline, the Democratic Party needs dinero.
Really?
They are having a lot of trouble raising funds. And also, did you get this one too? Hillary's assistant, Humadima, whatever, what was her name, remember? She married George Soros's son, right?
Abedin?
Yeah, I think it was
Ooh,
her.
girl, that's not good.
So, and then
Eesh.
there was also the conspiracy out there. I think it was Benny Johnson that said, is George Soros still alive? Because you haven't really seen very much of him. And he's an old dude,
He
right?
may not be.
He may not be alive.
And they just keep it. They tend to do that, just keep people going. Look at
Just
Biden.
prop him up, right? Yeah, prop him up. Oh,
I saw
my
this real
gosh.
creepy video of a AI robot like walking and talking and stuff, and how they walk in sand, and then they put it right next to like Biden and how he walks and stuff. And
Oh, I saw that.
And
yeah.
the dude walks just like an AI robot, bro. That was creepy to me.
I
you know?
tell you what, and again, keep an open mind because
Yeah.
to me, anything is possible. Wow.
Well, we know he wasn't signing the freaking documents. It was auto pen. So it was AI. The robots were running the shows, or who was running the show? There's assistants basically that were running the show, we're learning now.
You know, and I'm glad you mentioned the auto pen. There was somebody, one of my trolls on Facebook, and was saying, oh, President Trump has signed all these executive orders, just trying to, make him look like a king from that No Kings protest from last weekend. And I thought to myself, okay, President Trump has signed a lot of executive orders. Many of those were to reverse the damaging ones that Biden had done. But in the end also, he didn't use an auto pen either. I mean, these people still continue to defend the Biden administration. And that's bothersome to me too, because of all the things that we're finding out now. I mean, we knew a lot of them because we were following it, but it's incredible. All right.
And you got to know the history too, because the Chinese dynasty back in the day, they were known to get leaders, bloodline leaders in their royalty, and they would fatten them up. They would wipe their butt for them. They would feed them. They were soft people, and so they would surround them with supposedly yes people, but these people, the leaders at that point were so weak and so feeble and so decadent that it was actually the people, their administration running the show. And so this is a very popular tactic. Get a leader in there, placate them, you know, get them soft, make them decadent, and then the administration around that leader is actually who's running the show. So this is not a new tactic. This is something that's been around for centuries.
You've made me think of something right now. Okay, so my good friend Connie Powell. Connie Powell was the executive producer for KFYI when I worked there.
Yeah.
Super smart, sharp lady. Oh my gosh, she's wonderful. And she listens to our podcast too. Shout out to her. But I remember Connie. Okay, so right now, like term limits, I'm kind of a term limits person, but I fought it for a long time for Congress because I always remember what she told me. She said, you know, here's the thing. If you have term limits, so who's going to be running the show? Because the staff that's right there, a lot of times they have a lot of power, and it's not exactly the same as what you're saying, but in a way, there's a correlation there.
For sure.
Because they know so much, and then of course you're brand new. You let's say you get elected to Congress, you're like you want somebody that knows what's going on, right? So you got to be careful. Either way, you really do, man.
It's tough. This is the heights of humanity, guys. You know, the separation of powers was there for our own dark nature, and even that it has issues like we're talking about now. It's like, well, term limits are good, but you start getting these rookies in there. What are they gonna do? You know, so that's all very interesting stuff. What else did you want to get into?
All right. So what I wanted to do is, switch a little bit to New Mexico here, because when you listen to our podcast, we try to do everything: local, New Mexico, national, of course, geopolitics, as you call it. But this was a great article, and thank you for bringing it to our attention.
Yeah.
Open primaries will change party politics. What happened in New Mexico and Arizona, there is an open primary, which means if you are an independent person, okay, registered independent, Democrats still vote in their primary, Republicans still vote in theirs. But if you're an independent, when you go to the ballot box, you can say, okay, I want the Republican ballot or I want the Democrat ballot. So that just changed for this election in New Mexico, right? So next election, that's what's going to happen. I presume it's about the same thing. Do you know if it's going to work the same?
I'm not too sure. I can't comment on that right now.
Okay, well, this is a good article. Duke Rodriguez, he's thinking about running for governor here in New Mexico.
Right.
And from what I've heard of him and seen of him, looks pretty awesome. But he wrote a very good article, and the title is Open Primaries Will Change Party Politics. This just came out, right?
Oh, today.
So, yeah, today, the 22nd.
This morning.
Okay, good deal. And this is in the Albuquerque
This is a
Journal.
breaking exclusive right here on Chips and Salt Show, New Freaking Mexico.
That's right. That's right. So legislation passed 2025 session. New Mexico voters who are not affiliated with a political party can now vote in either the Democratic or Republican primary elections. Here's what the law states. A voter who has declined to designate on the voter certificate of registration a party affiliation, but also chooses to affiliate with a major political party, may do so by requesting the ballot of one of the parties participating in the primary election. So I don't like this, okay, in a way, because I feel like, okay, you decide to be a Republican or a Democrat. This is our primary. This is a Republican primary. We've worked hard to get the candidate of our choice in there, and there might be more than one candidate. That's why you have a primary too. But I've never felt good about it because I felt like it gave people too much power that didn't have the gumption to choose a side. But in our case, okay, I'm trying to keep an open mind. In our case, it may actually help us because I think just being here 3 years, there's so many people I've met who are independent. They were Democrats, they weren't ready to be Republicans, but at least they became independents. And I push that. I'm like, if you're not ready to be a Republican, at least be an independent. But what's your take on that? What do you think about it?
Well, obviously, it's to favor the progressive Democrats when they do stuff like this. The further we get away from a two-party system, the worse off we're going to be. Anything beyond a two-party system is like a parliamentary. My speculation has always been, since President Trump got back in, and even before that, really, not too much before that, but in the future, there will be no more Democrat Party. The types of crimes against humanity that they've committed and all this stuff's being exposed, and you're already seeing it. People are jumping ship from the Democrat Party to the independent side. So initially, I don't like it because obviously it's an attack on conservatives, and obviously they're trying to get away from the two-party system. But I think this is another miscalculation on their part because independents, from my experience, either lean right or they're pretty reasonable, and you can get them to go right with some reason. They just don't trust either party, which I don't blame them.
Really.
I
don't
don't
either.
blame them. I actually identify with independents quite a bit. We just started a new Facebook group, Conservatives of Southern New Mexico, and a large portion of the new followers are independents, and they're outright proud of it. Like, I don't trust Republicans, I don't trust the Democrats, but I have family values, and I am conservative overall.
And that's what we need to do is vote our values
That's
primarily.
right. That's right. So I think they made a big miscalculation. I think that this is going to end up hurting them at the end of the day, because I think most independents are going to vote conservative values, and this is a big misstep for them, in my opinion, so far.
And just as a reminder, I know everybody, if you're following our podcasts, you understand this, but if you're for the very first time, New Mexico is hugely blue, excuse me. But here, this is an interesting statistic. So it says that 331,872 New Mexicans, so that's 23.9%. That's almost 25%
Yeah.
of all registered voters have declined to designate a party affiliation. So that's a lot of voters that you can hit. So now it's going to be a fight for those voters. And I think you're right. We can attract them.
And I don't blame them, because number one, so I want to make a distinction here. If you're around a Republican, you still got some balls, because being a registered Republican, you get some flack, you get hammered. So for me, even if you're just registered Republican, I got a lot of respect for you, because you do get attacked for being a Republican here in New Mexico. There is a long record. I've been attacked. So people have to keep their career. I get that. They have government jobs. I get that. So they got to go, independent.
They stay silent about that. It's like,
because they have to.
What it used to be coming out gay, you come out Republican.
Yeah. So I think there's a lot more of that than anything that we're giving it credit. And yeah, the Republican Party just hasn't been there over the years. Recently, yeah, I got a lot of momentum with Chairwoman Amy Barela. But for me, I think it's brilliant for Mr. Duke Rodriguez to write this article, because he is right. And what it doesn't touch on, and this is my speculation, you could say you heard it here first, is that the Democrat Party will be a thing of the past. In the future, the two-party system will be the Republicans and the Independents. And it's like the classical, debate that we had with Democrats back in the day, where we would argue over nominal things, small things, but we were by and large America first.
Right.
We were all self-preservatory.
The patriotism was still alive on the other
Yes.
side. You're right.
Yeah. We're still prudent, and that's been lost because we're so different. And the left, is getting worse. They're not meeting anybody half in the middle at all. I mean, I've seen recently Congressman Gabe Vasquez post some pretty conservative stuff on Instagram, but you look at the likes on his page, it's not that big compared to the following that he's got. I mean, I get more traction on my stuff than he does, and I'm not saying it. I'm saying that's very telling. It's very telling to me.
It is. And if you look at the commentary also
Right.
from his posts, they're largely negative. They're against him because they follow him and they know exactly how he's voted. They know his history. So when he tries to do that, if you've been following, and all you got to do is look up their voting history, you find out about somebody really,
Horrible
really
voting
quick.
record. He's got a horrible voting record. Horrible. Voted against Lake and Riley Act. But I think it's just, for me, it's telling to see these Democrats, social media is locally so feeble, and it's feeble. I mean, the guy's a freaking U.S. congressman, okay? He should have all the support in the world. He doesn't. He gets attacked more than he's actually praised. So did he actually even win? Apparently, he beat Yvette Herro by 10,000 votes.
11,000. I still can't believe that.
11,000.
I still can't believe
don't.
that.
I just,
I'm sorry.
and then taking him as a person out of it. I'm not even attacking him individually. I'm
Right.
talking about the system.
Right.
The system, to me, is broken because, someone I respect heavily back in 2015 predicted President Trump's victory based on his social media solely. He had way more Twitter followers than Hillary Clinton. And this is way before even the election. And he said President Trump, or Trump, is going to win this election. I'll tell you that right now. And he put money on it. He won a lot of money because he bet a lot of his other rich friends. And so social media is very telling. And that's why I like where it's going now, social media. Because now we got a bigger voice. Now you can easily see who really does have the momentum. And it's not a guaranteed victory.
No.
But you know where the will of the people is. It's where the engagement goes. So I don't know. It's exciting time to be alive. That's all I got to say.
It really is. And just to give you some more information, you know what I love about this article that he wrote? It's
Yeah.
very wonky. I mean, this guy has really studied this. Now, how many counties are there in New Mexico?
33.
33? Okay, very good. I was going to guess 30, so I'm glad you knew.
Yeah.
So here he says 5 counties, independent voters outnumber registered Republicans. 6 counties, they outnumber Democrats. In Bernalillo County, so that's Albuquerque, right?
That's the main
biggest one.
county in New Mexico.
That's the main one. It's like the Maricopa County of Arizona.
It's the main baby.
They're within 10,000 of Republicans, and the bloc is growing faster. I mean, 10,000 sounds like a lot, but it's really not. It's
No,
workable, right?
you can do that. You can register 10,000 people in a year if you really, kick ass and take names.
Wow. No, so I'm glad that Duke is thinking about doing this. We hope to talk to him soon on the show. Oh, by the way, we need to just apologize real quick. We were going to have our buddy Preston Romero on from California. We're almost with the Zoom there. Next week.
Yeah, we're
Next
working
week,
hard to get that dialed
we're
in so
gonna
we
do
can have more guests on via Zoom and just expand the show. But yeah, your support is huge, guys. Keep supporting us. We got the website up. I'll let you guys know. In case you want to share the website link, you can, chipsandsalsashow.net. That's chips, the letter N, salsa, show.net, not .com. We went .net because it's just easier for us to remember, and it just kind of worked out that way. But just to throw that out there. And, here's the thing about Mr. Duke Rodriguez. I'll give this advice to him. It's not that hard to appeal to independents. If you really poll them and talk to them, because I've walked thousands of houses, guys. I've ran into a lot of independents. And in his benefit, a lot of independents love weed.
Well,
They do.
It's a valid point.
Independents are kind of like libertarians in a lot of ways. They're very
lot of them are.
Yeah, they just want to be left alone, and they want common sense values, So, and the thing is here in Doña Ana County, I've seen the poll numbers. People around here hate weed, and the biggest complaints I've heard about Mr. Duke Rodriguez, because some me and my affiliates have been kind of trying to weigh our odds against other gubernatorial candidates. Everybody loves Duke that we talked to on the finance side, on the campaign financing side, the handful of people I'm privy to hang out with some of these dudes. They don't like that he's in the weed game. Me and this individual, I started out in the cannabis industry because I believed in its natural healing properties. We can get into that later.
And that's the whole thing, the difference to me. Recreational
Yeah,
versus
medical.
medicinal. I think a lot of people still see like, hey, man, smoking weed,
And I fought for medical heavily. I lobbied to stop recreational cannabis because I knew George Soros and the Drug Policy Alliance were going to get their hands on this state, and they did. And now China's the #1 leading producer of cannabis. Duke Rodriguez has been battling the Department of Health as well. He was a champion of medical cannabis too beforehand. So I think it looks good for Mr. Duke Rodriguez. I really don't see anyone else being able to
is
do.
there anyone else that's spread except Greg Hull, the mayor of Albuquerque? But I'm not so sure he's going to be running.
He's not going on. He's already been on defense. He's already showing signs of being on defense, and that's not good. You got to look at President Trump's, track record, and he was able to be on offense the majority of his campaigns. So, I'm glad that Mr. Rodriguez put that up there. For now, I think he's at the top of the heap as far as gubernatorial candidates are concerned. I was heavily involved with the last gubernatorial run. He's already tremendously stronger and looking more promising than all the other gubernatorial candidates that I was affiliating with last go around. So let's see what he does. I hope he runs. Just on paper, he wins. On paper. Hispanic male, successful, your business leader, pushing back against the system, known for being a whistleblower against corruption in the medical industry. Born and raised here. Born in
Where was he born?
Alamogordo.
Alamogordo.
Born in Alamogordo. Went to NMSU. He's an NMSU alumni.
Aggies.
Became an accountant. I mean, he's got a cool record, man. I mean,
Oh, he's an accountant, so that's why.
yeah, he's a
probably
numbers
so-
guy.
That's
why
it's good
He's
analysis
kind of
here.
geeky. Yeah, he's kind of nerdy.
And the intro, I just should read this to you. Duke Rodriguez is the president and CEO of Ultra Health, and I'm sorry, I apologize, my glasses, and a former secretary of New Mexico's Human Service Department,
Yep.
an executive for Lovelace Health System. And as we said, he's considering a run for governor. But yeah, I don't know anybody else on the Republican side that's thinking about running. And should we talk about Corinne and her lawsuit?
No, I don't think we really want to get too into that. I mean, what I can say is apparently Rio Rancho is going under some serious scrutiny in terms of the ordinances that they have put into place, put into law. So you basically, look out for that. I can talk about it more later, but just Rio Rancho is going toe-to-toe with the establishment over there.
And forgive me, because I think I said that Greg Hall was mayor of Albuquerque, but he's mayor of Rio Rancho.
Rio
So
Rancho
Pardon me if I said Albuquerque.
for a long time.
They're right there, right next to each other. Wow, okay, so it's just
It's interesting stuff, guys. This is
very, very interesting.
very interesting.
Stuff. Now, that election is next year. By when do they have to sign up? Probably next year.
Well, Ron Katie didn't get in until October of this time last election. So he, Mr. Rodriguez is way early.
Wow.
Yeah, Ron Katie didn't jump in until October.
Very
And at that time it was really late because we had Karen Bedoni had announced, Jay Block had announced, Rebecca Dow had announced, and we were already pushing real hard with those candidates, and then all of a sudden, Ron Katie jumps in. I remember everybody being pissed off, like, who the hell is this guy just to jump in? But he's the weatherman. Everybody knows who he is. Blah blah blah. I'm not going to say anything bad about Mr. Ron Katie. I'm just saying that he jumped in late. So I think Mr. Rodriguez is a little early here, in my opinion.
Yeah, and he really hasn't officially said he's going to
I think
run.
that's smart. I think
He's
it's smart.
thinking about it. Writing an article like this, I think, is powerful because it lets me know that he's really analyzing, and it's well written. We'll post it on the Facebook page, and so please read it if you get a chance. But you got to, start letting people know, and it's a big decision. But New Mexico is in such a need of a good governor. I just met, was it last week or the week before, a lady who was a conservative, and I didn't even know what her affiliation was, and we started talking politics. And the one thing that she was big on, she goes, "Oh my God, we need a better governor." Of course, she's a lame duck. MLG cannot run again, which thank God. But you always worry about, just like we talked about regimes, who's the next person to get in there. So that's why this is really, really important. We've got to get somebody really good to run. Because who are the Democrats running? Have they announced or talked about it?
Yeah,
at all?
it's what's her name, Deb Holland, for crying out loud. She's just
right.
horrible. And what pisses me off is that on YouTube there was like an hour long of her just screwing up. It was called Deb Holland Fails, and it was just an hour long, a highlight video on YouTube of her just screwing up royally in front of Congress, in front of it was brilliant and it was hilarious. And I was able to take a couple clips from it, but they took it down. You can't find any of that footage anymore. They wiped the internet.
Did you post that on our site yet?
You know what? I'm gonna go repost it because they got rid of the other ones that were there. I can't find them, but I'm gonna keep reposting.
So interesting they got rid of them, huh?
Oh man, she's such a horrible politician. Horrible. I mean, incompetent, ill-spoken, ill-intentioned, no experience. Just total DEI hire. Total DEI person. Has no skills, has no abilities, but because she's native, they prop her up, right? And the native countries have been exploited by the Democrat Party more than anybody.
Oh, yeah.
You go on, anybody from any reservation will tell you they're not big fans of the Democrat Party. If they are, it's because they've been programmed to be fans of them. But the majority of the natives have woken up and are now conservatives and Republicans, and they voted for Trump. That poll came out right after President Trump just won that the majority of natives voted for President Trump. Because the reservations, guys, is like a third world country. A lot of people don't even speak no English on these reservations.
Is that right?
I've been in
Today?
Arizona. I've been over there in Chinle. Did a little road trip to Chinle.
But they can speak English. They don't choose to, or they
Well,
just don't know?
the guys I ran into over there in Chinle, they didn't know English.
Wow.
They didn't know English. Wow. I couldn't believe it. And so these poor Native Americans, man, they've been exploited so bad. And I am part Native, but from the Yaqui tribe, that's mostly from Arizona. My dad's from the Tarahumara tribe in southern Mexico. So I identify with Native. I'm not saying I'm a Native American per se. I don't have the blood
but you have some,
but
like
I
what we all
identify
do.
with them. Obviously, I'm dark. Obviously, my lineage was hunting and gathering not too long ago. I'm not that far removed from my ancestors hunting rabbits and stuff. I'll bleep that out. So it just blows my mind that we have these Native Americans that have been exploited so long by the Democrat Party, and it's just never talked about. It's never talked about.
You are so right. And mine too. I think I might have Yaqui. Then also, what's the pueblo out in El Paso? She was my great grandmother. Roots there.
That makes sense.
I mean, it's that's if you're Mexican heritage like we are, that's what you are. I always like to say we're the original half breed, because everybody came in through Mexico, Spanish and Native American.
Right. Right. So
What's the proper term now? I always say, native.
Native, Indian. A lot of Indians prefer Indian. I worked for a Native group recently. And they liked Indian country. So on the congressional level, they always say Indian country.
And remember, originally Columbus, Indios, because Dios was in there, of God.
Oh,
Okay.
really? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
So I wanted to talk about this too. Maybe you saw this, I don't know, or maybe you guys missed this, but credit again to the Pinon Post. They keep up with New Mexico news, and if you can, please subscribe so you can get their daily updates in the email. But this is an article: lawsuit over illegal alien insurance scheme survives, but there's a legal hurdle. Do you know about this?
Well, that was from Duke Rodriguez as well, wasn't
Right.
it?
Yeah, he probably had that in there too. I think
Lawsuit.
that's what he's going
Yeah,
after.
yeah, that's Duke Rodriguez and Ultra Health going after MLG for giving illegal aliens health. So,
I
so
think it mentions, yeah, see, here it is.
this
That's
is
why I
the
got it.
beginning of them replacing us. They're giving illegal aliens more benefits than they are our own citizens. You know, that makes zero sense. That's horrible. And that's precisely the type of legislation that got that woman killed in Minnesota.
Yeah, because she voted for it. The Democrat
Yeah.
voted for the Republican.
And then the
legislation.
guy comes out and says, well, the only reason why I killed her and went on this rampage was because Governor Walz had stoked so much division. He blamed that whole thing on Governor Walz. And look, we got to wake up, guys. They opened this border for a reason. This is an invasion. You can say whatever you want, and I don't see enough people saying it. Maybe because they don't want to get killed, maybe because they get censored. I don't know. But this is Chips and Salsa show. Why would they let military-aged men from China, from Iran, from all over the world come here in masse and then give them more benefits than our own American citizens? Why would they do that? Because they don't care about it. They want us gone. Okay? They don't want American freedom here. They don't want liberty.
They want their own army here for control.
That's
So
exactly
just
right.
to let you know, so the lawsuit, provide insurance to illegal aliens and other uninsurable individuals will move forward after a New Mexico judge denied a motion to dismiss the case on Tuesday. The
That's
ruling,
powerful.
yeah, the ruling by Second Judicial District Judge District Ramczyk, Ramczyk, allows plaintiffs to proceed with their claims that the New Mexico Medical Insurance Pool, the NMMIP, violated both the Open Meetings Act, the OMA, and the Inspection of Public Records Act, which is the PRA. Got to get all our acronyms right here. So the lawsuit was brought by businessman Duke Rodriguez, Duke the Nuke, I call him now,
Yeah.
a former cabinet secretary and potential Republican gubernatorial candidate. I mean, just incredible, and shows you again the Democrats care more about defending their non-constituents than you that voted them in there. They're supposed to represent us. That's a New Mexico thing, so I wanted to make sure that we talked about
So
it.
that should really piss you off, guys, that they're giving illegal aliens more benefits than they are our own citizens. It should piss you off that China was working in tandem with the Democrat Party, with our own deep state CIA, with our own deep state FBI, the Carnegie Foundation. This all should just be alarming, guys. We are at war right now. Now it's kind of a silent war, or whatever, but they've got more people. They've got over 20 million people here, undocumented. President Trump has said, expressed he's going to get rid of more of them now because we have to. We can't
has
afford
to.
them. We can't afford them, guys. You got to come here legally, guys. I'm sorry. That's how it goes. And yeah, I agree. We should have better paths to get here legally, right? Just like we should have better paths to adopt children. There's so many policy change things that we need to happen. And Arnold Schwarzenegger did a great job. We should talk about
wonderful. He did a wonderful job. He absolutely did. But there are laws, and that's the thing. You don't know what the immigration laws are, but the people that have been doing and waiting for 10 years and spending all this money, they do. And it's still, as I say, it's a slap in the face to have these guys here.
Can you imagine if we set the immigration system up where we got the best of the best in the world? You can apply, but if you're super high IQ, you're super high achiever, and we just focus on bringing them and their families in over here to help Elon Musk get to Mars, bring all these new manufacturing jobs over here that's coming and help run all that stuff. Could you imagine what this country would do in a very quick amount of time?
You should have priority. Absolutely.
Yeah, I like immigration.
Make
We
America
need
great again.
an immigration force. But if we have the power and the ability to vet them and to make sure that they're high level and they're going to help us get to a golden age faster, let's get them. Let's fast track that.
And all that was obliterated by the Biden administration. I don't even like to call that person POTUS because I just call it the Biden administration because we don't know exactly who was calling the shots. We have a good idea, but all that to 20 million that are here now, it's less. It's at least 1 million less because I think they've been doing a pretty good job with that. I just real quick
Hope
want
they
to
do a
ask
better
you, I do
job.
want to
Oh,
talk. I
shoot.
do want to talk about what Arnold said, and he did it on The View, and they were like trying to say, okay, all right, that's enough. They did that.
He did on
While
The
was
View,
talking.
really?
Yeah. But I was asking you, in New Mexico, if you go to high school here in New Mexico, okay, and you have a 3.0, did you say? Great. Then you can essentially go to a public university. You get to it the whole 4 years tuition free. Do you have to keep the grade
From my
point?
understanding, that's what it is. That's what it was. Anybody who graduated high school with a 3.0 or above got access to the lottery scholarship. And the lottery scholarship, if you go right out of high school, that's the other caveat too, is you can't take any years off. You've got the 3.0 and you got to jump right into college. The lottery scholarship pays all your tuition.
So just think about that, okay? So an illegal alien, bless their heart, okay? They're here, they're in high school. It's probably through their own, their parents brought them here or whatever. But that means somebody from another state, okay? Let's say I lived in Arizona still, and my nephew did too, but they wanted to come to New Mexico State. Well, too bad, they're gonna have to pay out-of-state tuition, but yet they're an American citizen. Is that really fair? I don't like that. And especially too, the irony of it is New Mexico, dead last in education. That's just one of the things, like, that's too much given to illegal aliens. If you want to at least do it to the kids who are American citizens, but I don't think that illegal alien kids, students, should have that option. I'm sorry, I don't think they should.
Yeah, and college is a scam in general too. But yeah, I don't.
Yeah, they might be doing them a favor if they did that, huh?
We can't be favoring illegal immigrants in this country over American citizens, over veterans. We can't do. And they take up a large amount of resources as well. Millions and millions, billions and billions of dollars that should be going to citizens and veterans. We got to get rid of these illegal immigrants. We want to put a program in there that makes it easier for desired candidates of immigrants to come here and help us get this country to where it's going to be. And that ties back to education, because we're going to need, and Elon Musk has talked about this, we're going to need an educated workforce that can handle high-level jobs, because we don't have it here in America anymore, especially here in New Mexico. We don't even have the educated population to work these major factories, to do these highly technical solar jobs, these highly technical energy jobs. We don't even have, our population is so dumb. And I can say that because it's the truth. We're the worst educated state in the country, that if a company came over here with billions of dollars, we don't even have the workforce, let alone the infrastructure of medical care and everything else to foster these types of high-paying jobs, these economy-boosting jobs. They have done a tremendous job, a good job, destroying this state, and they're on the verge of destroying it permanently. We're about to get tipped over, but thank God we've got this show. We've got people like me and Alice in there all over the state, and we're doing everything we can. You got to get involved with the Republican Party. If you don't like the way it's going in your area, get involved, start changing it. Register Republicans, reach out to independents, get on board with them too. It's all about unity, guys, and it's all about registering people to vote. It's all about getting past people's apathy and explaining to them that if we all come together and we all fight for family values, that we can get this state to vote red. We can get this state to be a conservative state. We're right there, especially with fair elections. I can't stress that enough. Fair elections will change everything, and we're on the verge of getting those. So we got to do our part and get people interested in the system, get them voting again, so that we can fully utilize these fair elections and get what we want out of this government, which we've never had it before. We've been exploited for so freaking long, guys. I'm sick of it.
And I just got a text from my good friend, and that's Jeff Utch. He's out of Arizona. He is a constitutional expert. You'd love him. He's great. He's also a fantastic swimmer. He has swum like the
Awesome.
He has swam the
Phenomenal
oceans.
Phenomenal shape, yeah.
So he says, he just saw this, so he texted me. Constitutional, it is constitutional what Trump did under the War Powers Act, okay? President has 60 days to prosecute a military action and 30 days to ramp down. Needs to inform Congress within 48 hours of action taken. Trump had already done so, so he did that. Absolutely constitutional, and if Dems don't like it, they should have changed the law when they were able. Thank you, Jeff.
Well, because they wanted to use it themselves. That's why they had it in there.
Absolutely.
And that's ironically why President Trump has so much power, because they made this country almost dictatorial with the powers that they gave the president over the years of corruption and getting these terrible presidents in there. So before they thought they needed to, President Trump won, and now he has all these powers. Now he can actually make change faster than he would have before. So here's the contrast to President Trump's executive powers and how tremendous they are and significant they are, and how long they've worked to get these types of executive powers to be so damn near dictatorial. Our mayor here in Las Cruces is the position itself. I'm not talking about the individual. The position itself has been castrated. The mayor has no executive power here at all.
So he used to at one point.
Yes,
They
and they've
changed that.
slowly.
Now he's just a vote, and he does drive the agenda.
He drives the agenda, but I mean, if you know,
anybody can put
if
stuff
you don't
in.
have control of the board, then it doesn't matter what agenda you put up. You know what I mean? It's like right now, who runs the city is the city manager, and that's what we saw. That's what we see in Rio Rancho as well. And so, and that guy, those are unelected officials. We shouldn't have unelected officials running anything in this country. That's just the truth. Nothing personal against these people who are doing it. I don't even know their names really, but I know that they have a lot more power and responsibility than they should in terms of the American spirit.
No, you're right, and that's the reality. And I think, I can't remember if it's Albuquerque or Rio Rancho, but say it was a city council, they pass an ordinance, then the mayor has to, kind of like a governor, veto it or sign it and say, okay, approve it. But again, a special thanks to Jeff Bush, and then he reminded us, we talked about it earlier too. Clinton did it, Obama did it, just like you're saying, previous administrations would do it. Okay, we're down, oh my gosh, this has been a fast hour. Did you want to talk a little bit about what Arnold said, the Terminator? He terminated on The View. That was awesome, dude.
He was on The View and he was on Jimmy Kimmel. I saw the one on Jimmy Kimmel, and he just did a great job saying, look, the politicians are doing a horrible job in California. We have policy. They shouldn't be here. You need to come here legally. He came here legally, and he loved America. He went and he was just gushing about America and how awesome this place is. And
he's still a great patriot.
He's a great public speaker too. Now I see why he won, in politics. But he said that what really resonated with me about the whole interview, because Jimmy Kimmel was trying to throw President Trump under the bus in the way that he's handling the illegal immigrants. But Arnold Schwarzenegger set him straight real quick and was basically, look, I was just in Europe, and every time I've gone to Europe, back to Europe since the '80s, since I got here, and he's like, even more so now, people ask me, how can I get them into America? Hey man, they ask for his help to get them into America. So it's still the greatest country in the world. Every time he goes back to Europe, and he said even more so now, he said if you go to Europe and you see how horrible it is over there, people are wanting to come here now more than ever.
Yeah.
So I love this country. I have already volunteered to die for this country. I am still holding up to that oath and defending the Constitution as a veteran. And that's the type of patriotism I love to see. This guy was an immigrant. He came over here legally. He lived the American dream, and I'm living the American dream right now. And by golly, if you want to assimilate and you want to be proud of what this country stands for, then you should live the American. You should have the opportunity to live the. You're not guaranteed nothing in this country. You have to work for it. But this opportunity to live the American dream is a blessing. Is a huge blessing, and that's why I pray every day. And I'm so grateful that God made this country, because guys like me, people like Alice, can actually have a fruitful life and experience. Because, man, the life around the world sucks everywhere else, right?
Where do you want to live? Do you want to leave this country? Even the ones that have left, Rosie O'Donnell and what's her name? They're like, I think they're like, oh, I don't know if I should have done this. I just want to jump on what you say, though, okay? My dad, World War II, greatest generation, what you said.
Love
you gotta
that.
work hard.
No wonder you're such a badass.
And he used to say, America is the greatest country in the world, but nobody owes you a damn thing, okay? Short and sweet, kind of like something Trump would say.
Yeah, if you're here, you got a lot of opportunities, and that's something we should be grateful for. And we should be fighting for. We can't be getting apathetic, guys. This is the time now more than ever. We got to come together. We got to unify, and we got to fight for family values. Fight. And we say that allegorically. We say that.
Right. We're not promoting violence. No.
In fact, the opposite. We don't want violence at all. We want to use the Constitution. We want to use the rule of law, and we want to use God. We want to come together for God, and we want to pray for a better future for our children and for the future generations of this country and this world, because that's what we're setting up here. The implications of what we do right now in this life they're gonna emanate, reverberate for centuries. And I don't know what's gonna happen. Every week is something crazy now. We just bombed Iran, and I'm not even fully abreast with it because everything's happening so fast.
It happens so quick, and we'll try to keep you posted on that. Man, oh man, we'll see what happens next, as you say.
Yeah.
All right, what have we missed? Was there anything else we wanted to talk about? Next week, just want to let you know, so Preston Romero will be here. He's going to be reporting on the Cali chaos, okay? Because we still got to pay attention. Remember, you still live in the United States. Be vigilant and use what do they call that, where you're always looking to make sure everything's okay? Your
Be vigilant. Not a vigilante. Be
Not
vigilant.
Be vigilant. Just, be on the lookout. Be careful out there. Be safe. This is America, but we got to check out what's going on. Anything else?
I can't think of anything right
happening this week?
We have.
Republican Party is meeting.
Yeah, I don't want to get into that.
Okay. Well, look it up. Information's out there.
Yeah.
Your group again is the group you just formed on Facebook?
Yeah, the group is Conservatives of Southern New Mexico. I'm changing it to Conservatives of New Mexico because we have so many people that joined up. We're over 500 group members now in less than a week, way less than a week.
500?
Yeah.
You just
Yeah, we just
that
started
thing.
on Tuesday, and so in
Dang.
in about 5 days we get about 100. Right now we're on track to be over 100 group members a day, and we have the goal put out there to get to 5,000 group members ASAP. And I set that goal because with 5,000 people, it's just it's the golden number in social media. Once you hit 5,000, you can do a lot of things. And I plan on having statewide group meetings with this social media group on Facebook. You know, we'll do traveling statewide meetings where we'll have education seminars, bringing people together. Of course, you're going to be vetted. You know, we're going to make sure the right
I was
people are
going to
coming.
ask you any criteria for joining?
No, on the Facebook group, just conservative values.
Public group?
Yeah, it's pretty much a public group. You'll get kicked out for being disrespectful. That's the one thing. But we want to focus on border issues. It's mostly on border issues and family values and really anything else that's going to bring New Mexico into a positive direction. So it's pretty wide open. I'm encouraging Republicans, independents, and even conservative Democrats that are on the fence of jumping ship. You know, I like dialogue. I like debate. I think that's what made this country. Again, as long as you're not disrespecting anybody, you can debate and argue all you want. I think it's healthy. Because if you're on the side of truth, you ain't got nothing to be afraid about. It's about getting it out there and having that discussion so people can actually use their reason and come to a rational conclusion. But beyond that, my goal is, especially the closer we get to 5,000 people, is we're going to do traveling tours around the state and bring people together, maybe having special. I'm open. We work together as a team and how cool and awesome we do it. But I've always felt like we've needed to do that. We needed to do that as a people in New Mexico, find a way to bring us all together. Because we are a rural community. We're all pretty separated. So if we can go to Farmington, say, and have an event with this Facebook group where people are like-minded, we can go down to Luna County, hang out in Deming for a while. You know,
It's a good idea. Connect with them.
let's see how it goes. Either way, the group has tremendous momentum. Thank you guys for joining that group. If you haven't joined that group, join that group now. It will be Conservative of New Mexico as of tomorrow. What's up, Alice?
I just want to give a shout out real quick to CCIA, Conservative Coalitions, Coalition of Conservatives in Action. It's such a conservative coalition. Coalition of Conservatives in Action, and they meet every Thursday, if you live in the Las Cruces area, 6 p.m. at Kitchen Craft, and that's right next to Rudy's Barbecue. Okay, I think we're done for this week. I want you to be with us next week. And
FRW as well, Federated Republican
that's
Women.
right.
They're amazing
That's Friday.
group. You know, we're doing the 4th of July parade together. They stepped up. They wanted to be a part of it. We have the Republican Party float of Doñana County that's going to be there, but they're going to be a large part of the float as well. I just can't, extend my adoration and respect to the group members. And Alice is a group member. I'm an affiliate member, but I mean, these girls are just so organized and they love this country so much. And it's CCIA too. It's like, look, we got a lot of really good things going on in this state, and this show as well. You know, you guys, a Facebook group, we got a ton of momentum, guys. We got Mr. Duke Rodriguez over here ready to sue the freaking state for corruption. Love
Use it. We need to use this momentum. And like I say, for DACFRW, the Republic Women's Club, this Friday, Amy Barela will be the speaker. All right, as you always do so wonderfully, will you take us out in prayer?
Yes, I will take us out on some prayer. Lord Jesus, thank you again for bringing us together here on the show to share knowledge and information with the state. And just thank you for bringing us all together. I've not felt this type of unity ever, being a conservative, being a Republican in New Mexico. There's more love and respect and willingness to actually do what needs to be done to save this state, save the children, and to just have a better future for our people here in New Mexico, Lord. So thank you so much for that. And I pray that you stay with us through these intense times as we're going into the summer. And I pray for President Trump that continues to make good decisions for humanity and for the world. And I just pray that you stay with us. And I'm just so grateful for all the blessings that you've given us here on the show, and just everyone in my life and everyone here in the Las Cruces community. We have a lot of momentum, and I'm just so grateful for all that. Thank you, Lord. In Jesus' name I pray.
Amen.
Amen. All right, guys, we will see you guys next week. Hopefully we'll have some Zoom guests from now on as well.
Right on.
And we want to just keep things going. We want to make it bigger, better, funner, more exciting, more effective. And it looks like we're going that direction. And we have all that to owe to you guys. Thank you. Don't forget, subscribe, like, share, and comment. I'm not too big on the YouTube comments, but Alice is. She'll get back to you.
I try to look at 'em.
I do comment on the Instagram and the Facebooks. So comment there and just get involved, get engaged. Don't be afraid. We're here, guys. We're here. We got a lot of momentum.
Thank you, Chipsters.
Love you
Have
guys.
a great week. We love you.
Later.
Take care.
Peace
Keep
out.
fighting. Fighting for riding.
Later, guys.